Hello fleet, and welcome back to Nautical Tales episode 7. And it's taken me quite a while to actually make this episode because I got something like 80 or so replays and I had to sort through all of them. So these, I think, are the top 10 moments. So very first moment, Bad Wolf in a Wyoming, has AP loaded, finds an Omaha, launches a beautiful salvo because RNG is absolutely in his favor. And he sends that Omaha to the afterlife with 3 beautifully placed Citadel hits. Nice shooting, Bad Wolf. That was impressive. Now, most of you have probably heard me preach the whole AP thing about battleships, and I've probably beaten that thing to death already. But let me keep preaching it, because honestly, if you're a battleship and you know how to shoot armor piercing, cruisers don't stand a chance in hell. And Mastertrip here is gonna demonstrate this to perfection. What I want you to do is take a quick look at the minimap, and you should see that there are multiple cruisers, in fact 4 cruisers in total, that are coming up to fight Mastertrip. So typically speaking, you think, well, if the cruiser just starts spamming HE, Mastertrip doesn't stand a chance, especially since he's an Arkansas beta. The thing's not exactly renowned for its accuracy. But Mastertrip is one very patient individual. Patient because he's not just wasting his shots. His guns are loaded, he's just not like, oh, I'm just going to continuously shoot my guns at anything possible. What Mastertrip does is very patiently waits for the cruisers to move themselves essentially into a very vulnerable position. There he goes, 2 Citadel, 1 hit. Cruiser didn't stand a chance. And what Mastertrip does from now on till the end is just pretty much rinse repeat the same thing. Wait for the cruisers to turn and expose their super vulnerable broadsides, and then pound as much AP into their citadels as quickly as possible. So Mastertrip is going to be taking on another full HP Kuma, and his first salvo, well, doesn't really land where he wants it to. Can't really help it. I mean, he is in an Arkansas beta, right? I mean, that thing is like a shotgun, a little bit predicated on the RNG being in your favor. But still, it doesn't mean you can't get good salvos and good shots. Look at that one. Oh, the spread's a little bit big there. Doesn't really hit anything good, but yeah. That's the one thing about the Arkansas beta too. It's got tons of guns. Look at this next one. Right into the Citadel. 2 Citadel hits. Dead Kuma. Okay, well, I mean the 2 tier 4 cruisers didn't pose much of a challenge. What about the tier 5 Furutaka? Well, of course, if you kept the Furutaka angled, you might have a semi-decent chance. But expose your broadside to a battleship who knows what he's doing with AP, and well, you're simply asking for a very, very, very quick ride into Davy Jones's locker. So, that Furutaka actually gets lucky because that Kuma's hull, the sinking one, actually stopped him dead in his tracks, so he didn't actually take any more Citadel hits right away from Mastertrip. But of course, Mastertrip now has to turn his attention to the other Furutaka, because that Furutaka is, well, not too far away from launching torpedoes. But just like the other 3 cruisers, this Furutaka is also deciding to expose his entire broadside. So this is, well, you're just inviting a battleship to Citadel you. And of course, after 3 Citadel hits, that's it, rip. Yeah, the entire engagement lasted 1 whole salvo, actually, because he got 4 guns off, I think, from the rear and then 2 guns from the front. That's it. 1 salvo and a dead Furutaka. His last Furutaka, which has managed to extricate himself, yeah, not much health left. And of course, now he's in a very bad situation considering the number of enemy ships that are around him. And of course, this Furutaka isn't gonna last. So very nicely played, Mastertrip. Thank you for showing people the power of AP. And for those of you who are still wondering, if you're in a battleship, always remember, shoot armor piercing. It'll save your life against cruisers. Next up, we have a replay from Drunkdream, who is in a Mutsuki, which is the tier 6 Japanese destroyer. And Drunkdream is going to show you guys just how terrifying a destroyer with a bit of a warrior spirit can be. Over there are 2 enemy battleships. Drunkdream doesn't really have anybody around him. What does he do? Well, he could do 2 things. 1, stealth torp, which is get out of range real quick and launch torpedoes at range. Or 2, just with a bit of a warrior spirit, just charge in there and wreck crap. And that's exactly what Drunkdream does. Miyoki? No problem. Half HP, reversing, not going forward, not really maneuvering, eat 3 torpedoes, get wrecked. Next up, that Congo. Mind you, that Congo actually still has a pretty darn good amount of HP, about 45,000, but instead that Congo decides, you know what, I am going to turn in possibly the worst possible kind of direction. The direction where my guns are actually facing completely in the wrong direction. But it's still not the end of the world, because the Congo actually has somewhat reasonable turret traverse speeds for a battleship, which means that it can still get some of its guns into action against a destroyer, as long as, of course, the battleship actually hits. Drunkdream closes to within 3.4 kilometers and fires off a salvo of torpedoes. I don't know. As a battleship captain, this is probably one of the times to be messing with your speed. Slow down, full stop, speed up. Don't sail in a straight line, or turn, do anything. But of course, the Congo sails in a very, very beautiful straight line. Drunkdream says, thank you very much, let me plant some torpedoes straight into your side. Of course, the Congo's still not dead, because Drunkdream only fired off one salvo. Yep, he's now within 1.3 kilometers of this Congo, and this Congo is... I don't even know what he's doing. I think he's trying to depend on his secondaries to try to get the kill. Oh dear God. 1.2 kilometers and he completely misses a destroyer. Dear Lord. Anyways, Drunkdream says, well, okay, as long as you can't hit me, I'm perfectly happy. And he sits there and he pretty much kills this Congo with... yeah. He actually managed to finish off the Congo with his guns. And of course, that poor Bogue, who's on the blue line, can't do anything. Both of his battleships like totally failed and got melted. So this Bogue is just like, well, screw it. Just screw it. I'm just gonna take whatever comes my way. Drunkdream says, yeah, here's 3 more torpedoes. Rip Bogue. And in a very, very short period of time, and a bit of warrior spirit charging in there, managed to bag himself 3 very nice kills. Then you have Master Chief 117 here, also in a DD, who runs into like the perfect scenario to be in an American destroyer. 1, he's up close and personal, which is great for US DDs and their short range torps, and 2, he's got enemies on both sides. But of course the enemy do have torps. Oh, magic dodge there. But once the dodge is complete, then the Nicholas is at an absolute advantage in a situation like that. Why? Because remember those torpedoes on both sides. One side for the iChaseGaming, the other side for the Furutaka. I actually kind of wondered why the Furutaka didn't fire torpedoes at this point in time, but regardless, Master Chief 117 bags himself a beautiful double strike, 2 devastating strikes, and just gorgeous. Good job, Master Chief. And by the way, I realized your name actually wasn't 117, it's II7. Sneaky bastard. Alright, let's move on to another replay. Next up is a replay from WolfgangAlpha in an Atlanta on the Two Brothers map, and Wolfgang is heading to the center because look, the enemy fleet seems to be pushing up right in the middle, and the Atlanta is like the scariest freaking ship if you're the enemy team and you ran into this particular ship here. Because the Atlanta, unlike a lot of other USN cruisers, has a scarily scary thing called torpedoes, and yeah, these torpedoes can wreck face, especially when used in very, very tight, confined quarters. There goes that Murmansk. It's dead. There's a battleship coming up behind, and of course, yeah, not only does the Atlanta have torpedoes on one side, it's actually got torpedoes on the other side as well. And of course, Wolfgang does know how to use them. Not only does he know how to use them, he very, very nicely uses this island as cover to give him time to actually turn his ship around. And of course, by the time he comes into this kind of range, there's a battleship 1.4 kilometers away. That is just get wrecked range. You know, this is the kind of range where as a battleship you have no chance at all when the enemy team actually has a cruiser with torpedoes. Doesn't die, but the Atlanta, oh yeah, forgot to mention, it's also a goddamn fire hose, and if it can't kill you with its torpedoes at close range, its guns will certainly do the job. At this particular time, you would think the other 2 cruisers that are trying to come up the middle would be like, hold on a second, my battleship and my other cruiser went up there and got their faces kicked in. Maybe it's not a good idea to go up there. Oh, but you know, lemming trains are lemming trains, right? You know, the first one falls off the cliff, the second one just kind of goes with it, and of course everybody else just thinks that's a brilliant idea. So yeah, Murmansk, Atlanta, both decide, hey, you know what? We've just watched our battleship and our other Murmansk die. But let's see what we can do, because, you know, we're sure we can have a different outcome when we come up this area, right? Mermans comes around the corner, and of course the fire hose is already going, and before the Mermans can even really get a shot off with its own guns, get wrecked by WolfgangAlpha's Atlanta. Wolfgang, torpedoes reloaded, sees another Atlanta, launches torpedoes. Oh yeah, one Atlanta. You didn't need a lot of ships. One Atlanta, played properly, right in the middle of the Two Brothers map, and you can hold off an entire enemy lemming rush all by yourself. You don't even really need a team, you just need it yourself. Good stuff, Wolfgang. Torpedo slips right through the sinking Murmansk, and Wolfgang bags himself kill number 4. Yeah, Two Brothers map, if you're gonna go up the middle, you really gotta make sure you're gonna be safe when you get up there. Ophi 123 in a Cleveland. Now this one I thought was a pretty awesome replay. So Ophi here is in a Cleveland himself. He's lost his forward gun, which means he's only got 3/4 of his firepower left. He's engaged against a Cleveland as well as a pretty much full HP Congo. Now this Congo absolutely can wreck Ophi without question, because not only does Ophi have to deal with the Cleveland that's shooting at him, the Congo has larger caliber guns which can pen Ophi's armor. But of course Ophi decides, screw this, I am gonna go for the honorable way to die, and decides to go for the ram. Now the Congo thinking, hey, it's a Cleveland, 35,000 HP, I can risk it. But Ophi actually manages to get the kill. And the reason why is because Ophi actually packed that ramming flag. Like, whoa, that extra 50% damage actually came into use, and he managed to bag himself not only the Congo, but his fire damage bagged himself that Cleveland as well. Final Spark sent me a replay from his Kagero, and this Kagero, tier 9 Japanese destroyer, long range torpedoes, right? And so typically when I play the Kagero, I've always found that when I use the torpedoes and I kind of threw them out, it was sort of like crossing your fingers and hoping you hit something. And especially when it's at long range. At close range you can generally guarantee a little bit better hit rates, but at long range it's kind of like you just toss them out there and you're like, yep, eventually somewhere down the line I might hit something or I might sink something. But generally it's sort of more hopeful than anything else. Anyways, so Final Spark, had launched the salvo, and I'm watching the salvo go across, and I'm like, okay, exactly how many ships is he going to hit? Because most of these ships were like 13, 14 kilometers away from him. The chances of actually doing a whole ton of damage is, generally speaking, not very high. Taking a look at the distribution, it looks like the only ship at this time that was in danger was really that Pensacola, which was sailing into the path of the torpedoes. Everything else seemed to have been getting away. And the Pensacola is turning. Does dodge one, but takes one torpedo. Okay. Did a lot of damage because these Kagero torps do hurt like hell, but didn't seem like that much. Keep going. Oh, he killed himself something. Oh, look, that Pensacola died to, I guess, flooding. He hits another torpedo on something. We don't know what it is because, again, those ships have become invisible. Torpedoes keep going and going. And like, yeah, scary Japanese torpedoes, seriously. At like tier 9, tier 10, when the torpedoes can reach out like 20 kilometers and do like 20,000+ damage, it is pretty terrifying when you're in, I guess an enemy ship and you're facing them down. Now, all the way back where Final Spark actually is, he manages to bag himself a cruiser, which is good. And of course, finally his torpedoes do run out of range. So that should be the end of it, right? I mean, he hit one ship and he killed it, and there was 2 other ships which he hit, but seems to have only done some damage. Things seem okay. And so I thought so too, and I was like, alright, Final Spark. There was nothing that exciting about this particular replay. I mean, you only managed to get yourself 1 kill. What's so special about that? Oh, actually 2 kills. 1 with your guns, 1 with your torps. And just as I was about to roll out this replay, randomly another ship got sunk, and it's like enemy battleship got sunk, and I was looking and I was like, what? How do you sink the Warspite? So apparently what happened many seconds ago, when Final Spark hit that 1 torpedo on the Warspite, it apparently caused flooding, and the Warspite either had a repair kit on cooldown or whatever, eventually actually flooded to death. So yep, talk about just the most random things happening in certain battles. So thanks for that replay, Final Spark. Our next replay comes from Attosz, and Attosz is in an Omaha with 1,270 something HP, and over there is a mostly full HP Miyogi. This should be an extremely one-sided fight, because seriously all the Miyogi has to do is turn his guns around, aim well, one shot. Even if he hits with just like one HE shell, it's the end of Atto's battle. But, well, you know, strange things happen on World of Warships, and this is probably going to be one of the stranger ones. This Miyogi, which isn't exactly ignoring Atto, is going to fail so hard in his attempts to kill this one low HP Omaha. And when I say fail, I don't mean like your normal kind of fail. I mean the kind of face palming, face desking, shake your head, scratch your head kind of fail. And yeah, you're gonna see this happen really soon. I mean, Atto is staying pretty much at max range. Miyogi fires, and of course you figured this out. Miyogi's gonna miss terribly, but that Miyogi still has a lot of HP. Like, come on buddy, just turn around, aim properly, fire, bag yourself a low HP Omaha. I mean, hell, at least you'd get a kill. I mean, he is the last one on his team, and it'd be nice to at least go out with a kill, right? But of course not. This Miyogi does things that I cannot comprehend. Sails away from Atto. Can't outrun a cruiser. No matter how fast your battleship is, you're not going to outrun a cruiser, especially one that's actually trying to kill you. And really, at this point in time, just, I don't know, anything. Close the range, turn around, confront this cruiser. You pretty much win. The cruiser has no HP to speak of, right? The one other thing that Atto, I think, does really well is, if you look at the minimap, just for the next little bit, because, you know what's going to happen. The Miyogi's going to keep missing, Atto's going to keep beating up on him. But what I like about what Atto does is, look at the way he's sailing a ship. There's a lot of turning, a lot of very dynamic movements, you know. Hard turn to the right, hard turn to the left, keep changing, just to throw off the aim. Now, this Miyogi finally decides to do the right thing. He's gonna turn around, he's gonna get closer to Atto, and he's gonna try to finish him off. And he's gonna use that island as cover, even better. This is time for him to get all his guns turned around, and get his aim right, wait for Atto to get closer, pop out, and pff, done. You know, at least you get yourself that one kill. So the battleship gets behind this island, actually manages to use his kill, which to me was like, oh god, come on, you're coming out with like even more HP. This should be great. This should be over. Atto is about to go meet the maker. And I mean, if you look at just how many kills Atto's already managed to get, he's already carried his team. I mean, he's definitely carried his team. And yeah, even on 1,270 something HP, he is going to carry the team once more. Just good god. I mean, look at this. Miyogi, come on, buddy. Come on. Just fire, damn it. Fire. Another salvo. Like, I don't even know where his salvos went. I mean, if you're talking about missing, I mean, there's one way to miss, but then there's this. At 7 kilometers, could not land a proper salvo. And yeah, Atto is just gonna pound away with his HE until this battleship dies. Oh boy. Come on! This close now! 4 kilometers. Good job, Atto. Thanks for sending in that replay. Although, can you really blame me that I was kind of hoping the battleship would actually land one hit? I was starting to feel really bad for him. Anyways, moving on to Fadhz. And Fadhz HZ here is in a Cleveland, and he's facing off against a Fuso. Now, Cleveland versus Fuso, in most cases, is not a very good fight, just because, well, you know, it's equal to your battleship with massive firepower, mind you, against a cruiser. Battleship knows half of what he's doing. Cruiser doesn't stand a chance. Well, you know, it's Nautical Tales. Something is bound to just go off the rails. So, Fadhz here does the smart thing. Maintains a very small profile by basically keeping, you know, the stern towards the Fuso, and when the Fuso has expended the salvo, then Fadhz decides to turn his ship. First tip for the battleship captains out there: you really have to time your salvos. Don't just fire at anything at any time. Wait for the ships to present that vulnerable profile, the broadside, before you fire. because once, right there, had Fadhz turned, that would have been the time for the Fuso to have shot. But anyways, Fadhz manages to get his ship turned around, manages to use this huge little chunk of land here as cover from the battleship's fire, and tries to get closer. So if I was Fadhz right now, what would be my thought process? Well, I would have looked at the teams and I would have said, okay, we've still got a New Mexico, we've still got a Fuso, so we still have an advantage there. We've got an advantage in cruisers, and we have absolute advantage in terms of destroyers, which means that our destroyers can zip around and cap stuff, our cruisers should be able to kill their cruisers, and our battleships, well, as long as I can kill this Fuso, we'll have an advantage because we out-tier them. What's my plan of action? Well, I'm in a Cleveland. I'm in a massive disadvantage against the Fuso. Options: do as much damage as possible, get the Fuso under 35,000 HP, and then opt for a ram. But something goes a little bit different here. This Fuso can't seem to make up his mind whether he wants to shoot at Fadhz or whether he actually wants to ram him, and this indecision is going to end up costing him his ship, because finally, when he finally does get around to deciding I'm going to offer a ram, Fadhz is just barely able to dodge this. I don't want to say like barely, I mean like holy crud, look at that distance. But once that has happened and the battleship didn't achieve the ram, well then Fadhz is able to sort of bring out shades of World of Tanks, shall we say, where a medium tank runs into heavy tank and begins to circle. Yeah, that's what Fadhz gonna do. He's gonna circle this battleship, and by circling this Fuso, Fadhz is able to minimize the number of guns the Fuso is able to get onto the Cleveland. And during this period of time, Fadhz is able to just continuously pound away with HE, and this poor Fuso didn't stand a chance. Once he missed that ram, it was all over, because the fire, the HE damage, it's just too much for one battleship to bear. Now, had the Fuso here known how to citadel a Cleveland, it is still possible that he would have been able to get one kill before he died. But, well, sometimes RNG loves you, sometimes RNG hates you, sometimes you know how to aim, sometimes you don't know how to aim. Regardless of the situation, the Fuso didn't manage to land the killing blow, and as Fadhz sort of circles around to the other side, continuing to drop as much AP ammunition into this Fuso as possible, he does manage to bag himself a kill, and not only that, an arsonist medal as well. So, good job, Fadhz. Next up is a replay from Moff Starfox, who's in New Mexico, and Moff here is going to be facing off against two Wyomings. The actual engagement itself is actually pretty exciting, mind you. I mean, the two Wyomings do actually have a reasonably good chance against one lone New Mexico, assuming the Wyomings play correctly. But of course, come on, it's random pub games. Anything can happen, and of course, the mistakes begin right away. The Wyoming over there decides, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go and expose my broadside. And for those of you who know, when you expose a broadside against a higher tier battleship with bigger guns, bad things happen. Like, oh, I don't know, soon to be a Citadel hit coming soon? Yeah, we'll see. But what I thought was really, really awesome in this particular replay was that Moff Starfox actually managed to get himself a rather rare medal. There's a medal right now in the game called Close Quarters Expert, and truth be told, I've played all the way since they've implemented it, and I've still not gotten one of those ruddy medals. It seems to be some really weird peculiarities about what you have to do in order to get it. It supposedly says that what you're supposed to do is do 20% of the ship's damage with your secondary armament. But interestingly enough, people have tested this, and they have actually fired off their secondaries and killed destroyers from full HP to 0 and have gotten nothing at all. So there seems to be a very interesting question. Is it 20% of your own ship's HP? Is it 20% of the other ship's HP? Is it 20% through fire damage or regular shell damage? So it's kind of a bizarre thing. But Moff Starfox actually managed to get himself one. Mind you, this shot's actually pretty phenomenal. Look at that. 2 Citadels, 4 target hits, manages to nuke himself a Wyoming. The other Wyoming over here actually gets support from aircraft, and the aircraft drop torpedoes, and this Wyoming is just trying to shoot stuff, and it's kind of chaotic. I think he's going to go for a ram here. It's going to kind of miss. And all this time, Moff can't get his main guns really turned around onto target to shoot this Wyoming. So all of this time, it's been his secondary guns that have been blazing away. But the secondary guns themselves, if you actually look at the damage being dealt per shell, doesn't seem to be that high. In fact, the majority of the damage seems to be coming in from the actual fire itself. Is there a particular thing in the data that's keeping track of fire damage caused by secondaries? I don't know. So anyways, finally Moff is able to land a few salvos, does manage to get himself a few shots in on this Wyoming, and does reasonably good damage. But of course he himself is at really low health, and so of course the Wyoming is able to finish him off with the salvo here. But just before he died, his secondaries managed to set another fire, and this Wyoming is going to actually die to fire damage. And right there is the close quarters expert medal, and Moff, super rare. Congratulations on getting it, because I am still looking to get my first one, but at least you've given me an idea how to get it. Alright, and finally the last replay of the day. So you think RNG hates you? Well, you have not seen RNG hate you until you watch this replay from Horan. Oh boy. There over there is a destroyer, and he's aimed in at him. He's got it locked up. The destroyer has 100 something health, which is like no health at all, and a Pensacola shooting HE should kill this destroyer, right? Well, there's an engine incapacitation. Alright, that was a bit of a miss there, but come on, I mean, one hit, right? Gun out, torpedo out, no kill. Fires another salvo off. Yeah, hits him, still no kill. Lines his guns up again, fires another HE salvo. Look at this. This is when you know RNG hates you. Look at that. Hits him in the center, and he still doesn't kill this destroyer. I mean, I perfectly understand Horan in the chat when he goes, "What the hell?" I mean, you know RNG hates you when 5 hits with HE lands you no kill on destroyer with 170 HP. As the destroyer captain very aptly puts it, this is not just RNG, this is sorcery. And so the next time you think RNG's hating on you, just remember Horan and you'll feel so much better. And that brings us to the end of this Nautical Tales episode. Hopefully you've enjoyed these top 10 moments as much as I did. Now of course, if you've got a fantastic moment and you want to send it to me, please check the video description below, as I have put the instructions there. Who knows, you might just end up on another episode of Nautical Tales. If you like what I'm doing, don't forget to like and sub. Aside from all that, have a fantastic week, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all on the high seas.